Hello. Hello. Hey, D-Man. Hey, Apple Fan 6558. I will be right back. Oh my gosh. Sorry, guys. Sorry. I didn't mean to be so noisy. Okay. Hey, Carrie. Hello, English for Spanish. I do. At least partially. They're okay. Bear with me. Bear with me tonight. So, tonight, I am Nature Guy X46. This is the Natureverse 4.7, and today we're going to look at a my gosh, can't do anything tonight without can't do anything without making noise tonight. We are going to be looking at a variety of animals that exist pretty much worldwide with humans. And my list that I have right now is pretty short, but we can expand on it. The first one, you might be surprised to know that it's not native to the United States. It's not native to most of Europe and large parts of Asia. We are talking about the rock dove, or the pigeon. Now, they are native to Southern Europe, North Africa, and Eastern Asia, or Western Asia. But what makes this species so, excuse me, we have doves in America. And we do have pigeons. But the pigeons that we have are not native. Rock doves are not native to the United States. Mourning doves, they are native, along with a few others. But these rock doves, or pigeons, would normally nest on cliff faces. However, in the absence of these cliff faces, they use skyscrapers and other places as nesting places. They feed on grains, leaves, and vertebrates, but they will also feed on scraps. And if food isn't in good supply, they will leave to a place where it might be better. But this is an animal that can be found in Tokyo. It can be found in Mumbai. It can be found in Venice, Toronto. Yes, the seagulls are not. The seagulls that we have here are called ring-billed gulls, and they're the only gull that lives in within the Midwest. Now, I'm not saying that the gulls that we have are not, that they haven't adapted to man, but invasive, no. There might be some deer that might be, I'm not sure on that. I know the muntjac is in the UK, and I know it's not native there. I agree, D-Ma'am. But some of that's because people feed them. I see that here in my area. Now, important to know is that you have to be really careful in certain cities feeding rock doves or pigeons. You can actually get yourself in trouble. In Phoenix, Arizona, San Francisco, Toronto, Canada, Venice, Italy, and Mumbai, they have rules about feeding pigeons. And some of those include fines of like 300 or up. And that's dollars. No. Why is that? Because pigeons are nasty. I'm not trying to be funny. They spread disease amongst other birds. Their feces, or whatever you want to call it, can be damaging to buildings. Our next animal might be another surprise, especially if you live in Europe or the UK. Mary Poppins may have said, "Feed the birds." But you do that in some cities and you might get slapped. I hope so, Apple fam. Starlings, European starlings, have made it their job to be a universal creature. At least in the United States and elsewhere. It was at one time limited to Europe, Asia, and North Africa, but now they can be found throughout North America, South America, probably Mexico, probably Central America, New Zealand, and a lot of other places in between. Their population is believed to number around 310 million birds. These guys reproduce really well. They are aggressive. They outcompete native bird species, not just for food, but for nesting sites. And so if you are a woodpecker or other birds that are that nest in cavities in trees, you're going to be competing with the European starling, at least in the United States. We're going to jump from the English house sparrow to another bird that comes from Europe. And this is the English house sparrow. They aren't doing so well in the UK, but their global population is 740 million birds. And despite their names, these birds can be found across Europe, the Middle East, and North Africa. And they will feed on human food waste, live in man-made structures, and can be bold in urban environments. When I was feeding birds, house sparrows were the most common bird at the feeders. We're going to leave the birds to themselves, and we're going to move on to the house mouse. This animal started off in Southwest Asia. Nature fan, I don't know. I know in the United States, we do birding counts at feeders. I don't know if they calculate that into it. Or not, but it is crazy. So the house mouse can be found on every continent except Antarctica. It is believed that yes. Now, we do have other mice that will come into houses, but the house mouse is different. These guys came from Asia. They entered the Mediterranean area around 120,000 BC. And from there, they entered Europe around 3,000 years ago. And one of the things that helped it spread is we store grain, and they would get into it. Now, from Europe, these mammals learned to get on the ships, and when a ship made it to port, the mouse went with the people. And it is believed that they went with the Vikings when they went out to Iceland and Greenland. Then they went out again with the Spanish, and then with the English and the French. And like all of the other animals that we've talked about so far, they live pretty much everywhere too. And in some places, they are responsible for doing damage to the ecosystem. Our next animal is the black rat. Now, he is also known as the ship rat or the roof rat. These guys were native to India, but have since spread out. They have brought animals to extinction as they traveled around the world. Our next animal is the brown or Norway rat. Despite its name, these guys, again, came from Asia. They're now found globally as well. These rats eat our food, bring diseases and parasites, and pretty much are found worldwide. Oh, excuse me. Um, probably the black rat. The black rat would have been the animal that was carrying the plague. Well, they would have carried the fleas. No, you're fine. The rats that you see in Chicago, or at least in New York City, is the brown rats. No, D-Man, I would say you're right. Yeah. Now that's going to be your dominant species, at least in Chicago or New York. The brown rat is bigger. So, I was going to do this one, but I don't know where they originate. Hold on, guys. I'm looking something up. So, another animal that we don't really think of that much are bed bugs. Now, bed bugs probably originated in the Middle East. They got picked up at some point and made the transition from feeding on bats to feeding on humans. No, they wouldn't have lived in the sand. The sand had nothing to do with it. Come on. No, they actually would have picked it up through caves. So people would have stayed in the caves, picked up the bugs in their bedding or whatever, and carried it with them. Yes, it still has its wires. Bedbugs probably were carried east, and eventually, as we know now, they are found every place else. There are bat bugs that are pretty much identical to bed bugs. And once you see a bed bug, pretty much you know what a bat bug looks like. And bed bugs are nothing new. They have been with us since who knows when. Oh yeah, they're everywhere. People will go to hotels. Yeah. People will go to hotels or motels with their luggage and whatnot and pick them up that way and bring them home. Always a good idea if you're traveling to check the mattresses between the mattress and the box springs. And that doesn't mean that those are the only places you can pick them up, but even a fancy hotel can have bed bugs. Now, the American cockroach originated in Africa and the Middle East. They were introduced into the United States in the early 1600s via ships through trade routes. So, yeah, they are not native to the United States. The German cockroach, not from Germany, they come from Asia. And we believe they sort of broke off from the Asian cockroach, which is a different species. These guys adapted to human environments and then spread with commerce. They are unique animals. There are probably 100 different animals that I could mention. Yeah. Hair lice, probably something similar to that. Head lice is a little bit harder to isolate. However, genetic studies say probably Asia as a starting point and moved with people. Head lice would have arrived in the Americas with humans when they crossed the land bridge. We have evidence on the body of a 10,000-year-old body. In Brazil. Yep. And there are lots of other animals out there that are just as bad. Some of them I'm not going to get into because it's just too personal and I don't want to know. But those are some of the champions. Some high contenders will be the grain moth. The coyotes in Chicago are an issue, but they're not a global issue for the most part. I could be wrong. But they're not a global issue. I wonder if it was the same thing I'm thinking of. That'd be really weird, Nature Fan 101. Yeah. Oh, agreed, D-Man. Well, we sort of spread out from North America. Well, no. People should learn not to destroy habitat. We bring a lot of stuff on ourselves. We wiped out the wolves, and we got coyotes. And people still complain. So I really don't know what to say to people. That's right. Not here, they're not. And some places. Colorado, Wyoming. Maybe some in Michigan, Wisconsin. We have wolves in Indiana. I didn't know that either. Um, there was a yearling found dead in East Central Indiana. They did a genetic test and discovered that his genetics matched a pack in Wisconsin. But I'm not seeing that. Doesn't count though. Those are not wild wolves. I have no idea what my first figure was. Actually, I do. It's this. But that's like saying that um that macaws live in Indiana. And that we have walruses in Indiana. So those are primarily the ones I'm going to focus on tonight. Oh, gosh darn it. So the ones that surprised you the most, 43% of you said brown rat. 29% said the English house sparrow. And 29% said the European starling. Cool. Let's see. I need to get into this. Gosh darn it. Come on. Yes. Very GT 5730. Yes. Cats do. Dogs could. There are parrots who, because of people, have become invasive, but not necessarily globally. Saturday, tomorrow, at 1 p.m., Eastern screech owl and scoops owl. And then at 6 p.m., we have the groundhog and the hedgehog. Tuesday, we have the Great Barrier Reef and tide pools. Then Friday, we're going to talk about carnivorous plants. And then dragonflies and damselflies. And then Saturday, we are going to be looking at the Congo gorilla forest, Pongoland, and then I don't know what we're doing for the second session. I don't know. I'll figure that out. But that is what is going to be happening this week and into next week for lives. If you have questions, feel free to ask. I'm probably not going to be on as long as I did this morning or this afternoon to rest my mouth. That, and I have not had a nap. And since I have to stay up till midnight, I'm going to have a nap. Yeah, we're a little strange when it comes to animals and plants. I'm hoping to have a video up for tomorrow. We will see. That's my goal anyway. In case anybody says anything, I did not change between videos. I hope so. True. True that. But I don't want people to think that this was a new shirt. Oh. I don't know, Nature Fan. No idea. I don't know if I agree with that, but whatever. That could be a plus, D-Man. I take it she fed cats in the neighborhood. Huh. Anyway, guys. Anyway, guys, I'm going to call it done for the night so I can get some rest. I will talk to you later. Be good, everybody. Enjoy your Friday the 13th. And I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.